Hey, what's up guys? It's Kyle Hooten here, and I'm talking to myself in front of a camera, which means that you are watching The Talking Porcupine. So I want to begin today's episode with a little word association game, okay? So I'm going to say a word, and you tell me what that thing is used for, alright? So I'm going to say hammer. And I hope you said pounding nails, okay? Next one. I'm going to say car, and I hope you said drifting. Alright, now here's the hard one. I'm going to say National Guard. Alright? Now, you might be assuming the obvious here. The National Guard's role is to be deployed when absolutely necessary and to clean up civilian crises like Hurricane Katrina. And in that respect, you are completely right. But today I want to explore a third function of the National Guard that gets mostly overlooked and can solve a huge problem in our nation today. So before we get into that, I want to address what the huge problem is. I'm going to read you a few examples, and you help me identify the problem here. So in Keene, New Hampshire, the Department of Defense granted $250,000 to the local police force of this very small town to get a bear cat. At first I was reading this and I thought, wow, they must have a really interesting zoo with a bear cat. I was wrong. A bear cat is actually a ballistic engineered armored response counterattack truck. I googled it, and it looks like something straight out of Call of Duty. And I was sitting there wondering to myself, why are the cops in a small town driving Call of Duty around their streets? I don't know. Let's move on to the next example. This is from Ogaden, Utah. Okay? So in Ogaden, Utah, they call in SWAT teams to fill search warrants. This means that in the middle of the night, they perform what is called a no-knock raid. They don't knock on your door, instead they breach it, go in, guns up, and clear the house. Of course, this terrified an elderly man who was in the end not found guilty of any crime when he thought his home was being invaded, led to shots being exchanged and injuries being received. This is an example of a police-military type of action where the police are acting like military that didn't go very well at all. Next we have Columbia, South Carolina. And Columbia could probably use a Bearcat with a 50 cal, but Columbia, South Carolina probably does not. Also, they received a grant to purchase an MRAP, which are the big trucks you play Battlefield 4. It's the big ones with the gun. The scary looking ones. Anyway, so all these are examples of areas where the police are behaving like the military, and that's what I'm taking issue with. I think this is a problem. Of course, we've seen a recent increase in shootings, police shooting civilians, and one of those actually occurred in my home state, so this is kind of hitting home for me and making me very upset. But I'm seeing a correlation here. As the police militarizes more, I'm seeing an increased amount in police violence, and I think that these two could be correlated. Now you might ask yourself, Kyle, there might be times where law enforcement needs, ballistic trucks and, landmines or whatever, I don't even know, to defend the public safety. And you're absolutely right. There may be times when things get so out of hand that you need to be calling in the tanks. And that's what the National Guard is for. I think that today's law enforcement just simply doesn't understand the role of the National Guard and the fact that they are there to provide that really heavy-hitting military punch if the cops need it. So I think that what we should do is we should take this militarized police force, say, no, you can't do that, please stop, and give those responsibilities back to the National Guard. This would demilitarize the police, and it might take away some of that police-civilian tension. Because when you're militarizing the police, they're going to get in the military mentality, and they're going to get in the, we use guns, we shoot people type of mentality, and I think it could be a factor contributing to today's police violence. So I think, again, what we need to do is demilitarize the police, remind them of the National Guard, and let the National Guard take care of some of these more militaristic law enforcement tasks. Just my personal sentiments. I'm not necessarily anti-cop. I'm not necessarily saying, the National Guard should replace the cops. I'm just saying we should demilitarize the police and make them more aware of the role of the National Guard. Thanks, guys. Just a quick thought. I was wondering if I should get a desk mic. Would that look cool? Should I have like a mic right here so I could talk into it like a radio show? I don't know. If you agree with getting a desk mic, drop it in the comments below. I might swing by, pick up a cheap desk mic. That could be kind of cool. Alright, thanks for listening to a Porcupine Rant, and tune in next time for more content. Thank you.